watching some of our Instagram, you've probably seen some of the images that have been coming through, and I'm going to share with you what those the color selection was for each one of these. So this was a 5N, which is 50 with a 531 5GA with 6%. So this was for white hair coverage, and it really is the most beautiful golden blonde. The next one, now this is a really interesting one that I wanted to talk to you about. This was done on a base 4 and lifted up to a level 7 using 7.11, which is 7AA with 12% on the scalp. Now, please don't be scared of 12% or 9%. You don't have to just stick to 6%. If the hair needs to be lifted, you need to use the right developer to get you up the shade chart. So for instance, this was a level 4 and we wanted to lift this up to a level 7. So we used 12% 40 vol to be able to do this. And it is absolutely stunning. When we had our training with this, some of the team were like, I need to try this myself, and they were absolutely blown away. Now, this model had virgin hair, so there was nothing to cut through, because obviously we know tint doesn't lift tint, so it was the perfect model to allow you to do that. But always think about your developer choice, and I will come on to that in just a few moments. Then we've got our golden shades, our beiges, our coppers. So this is a really beautiful sort of copper gold. This was 7347 GC with 6% 20 vol. And then in highlights, there was 9349 GC with 9%. So highlights went in first using a gold copper, and then a global application of the darker tone to go through. And it really is a very, very natural, beautiful tone. Then we've got our 7cc, which is our 744 with 3%. So this is going on to a 7. So she was already a lighter tone. We didn't want to lift her anymore. We didn't want to darken. We just wanted to keep her at the same level, which was of a 7. And then this one, I'm going to come back to this because you know this is my favorite color, the 8MR, but I want to show you this one first. So this is a global color of 11.20, which is the 11VN. So this is a full head application using with our ultra blonde color. And look at the lift on this. It is absolutely beautiful. There is no orange, no zinginess, no, it will calm down in a week. It will be fine. It is absolutely the most beautiful champagne blonde. Now, this model might look a little bit familiar. So this model is the same model. We lifted her up with the high lift tint, and then we have used the 8568 MR with 3% as a global pastel color. So you can see that really beautiful pinky hue. So that was shown over a hair that's already been lightened. Stunning, absolutely stunning. The next one, hopefully you can see, this was on my screen. It doesn't do it justice at all. Very difficult to see, but it is a red. There's no sort of like copper red. It is a red. And then we've got our intensifiers that you can add there. So you can play around with those in your darker colors to warm up, make some chocolates, make some copper browns, some deep copper browns. You can use those to intensify as well. Okay, moving on to our cream developers. Now, we always recommend that you use the same developer as what your color is, because it's made to work together. So it stops any skin irritation as well. And it does make a difference when a product is working together and they're teamed together. It does make a huge difference to the lifting capabilities, the condition of the hair. They chemically work together, and it's going to give you better deposit of color with your white hair. It's going to give you better lift, and it's going to stop so many skin irritations as well. So that's the first thing. It has all the naturally derived ingredients in there. So it's gluten-free, it's vegan, it's paraben-free, etc., etc. So if you was to use a different developer, it kind of doesn't make sense, because you've told your client is that we've got a vegan friendly formula. We've got no gluten in there. We're paraben free. We're ammonia free. We're sulfate free. And then you go and use a different developer. Use this. Use the ones that to go with it. It makes total sense. Okay, so you can get white hair coverage with 6, 9, and 12%. Your tube of tint is what is actually the dye that is going into the hair, that is depositing into the hair. The level of lift required comes from your developer. So let's do a really simple case study. We have a client that is a level 6 and she wants to be a level 9. Ooh. So she's 6, 7, 8, 9. So we know we've got to have 3 levels of lift. So if she's asking for a 9, you're going to put a tube of tint on with a 9. So let's say she's 9 GV that she wants to be. So she's a gold violet. If we was to put 9 GV onto this level 6 with just 6%, what will happen? Let's move over so you can see. So if you use 6%, you will only get 1 to 2 levels of lift. So she might get to a 7, maybe an 8, but you've used a tube of tint that's a 9. So that's not going to work. So if we use 9%, we're going to get 2 to 3 levels of lift. So depending on the hair diameter, so think back to my little drawing, you need to decide whether the hair is fine, medium, or coarse. If the hair is coarse, we probably need more lifting power. So we probably need to use 12% with this client because she's got quite coarse hair. She's a level 6. She wants to go up to a 9, and we're using a tube of tint that is a 9. Now this will still cover the white hair because the tube of tint is what covers the white hair. The developer allows us to get from a 6 up to a 9. So choosing the right developer is really, really crucial for this. And when you think back to our little consultation sheet that we got, we have to work out all of that information that's on here, and we'll draw in where we're going to be using the 12%. Maybe we'll just use 3% on the mid-lengths and ends. Maybe we'll use a demi-permanent through the mid-lengths and ends. Maybe we'll put some foils through. There's all sorts of things that we're going to put onto here to sort of make our our lives as hairdressers a lot easier. We're going to map that out for them. This can be a digital tool, or it can be a physical tool. When I did this with our sales team, I did some consultations on them, and basically they were chasing me afterwards to get their sheet of paper because they were like, I need my sheet of papers. I need to know what I'm having next. And I just thought that was really nice that you can see you go through this journey with your client. So assessing the natural base is really important. Sorry, I moved on one then. And then obviously your timings as well, that's on here. Mixing ratio of 1 to 1. Your timers is 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the hair texture, whether it's white hair coverage, etc., etc. Now, the reason why it's 1 to 2 levels, again, comes down to the hair diameter, whether it's fine, medium, or coarse. So if you've got quite coarse or medium hair and you know that needs to have a little bit more of a push and you want the colour to look a little bit brighter, you would then use the next level up. So for instance, if I'm sort of like, should I use 6 or 9%? The hair is quite dark, I've got quite a lot of warmth in it, and I've got a coarse diameter. Absolutely, you should be using the 9%. The 6% would be a lot softer colour. So that's the reasons why you've got the 1 to 2, the 2 to 3, and the 3 to 4, because you need to think about the hair diameter, the tone that's already in the hair, whether they're warm, cool, neutral, etc. And then with your ultra lift blondes, you can either use 30 vol or 40 vol with that, depending on the level of lift. So if you use 30 volt, you're going to get less lift but more tone. If you use 40 volt, you're going to get more lift but less tone, if that makes sense to you. And your mixing ratio is 1 to 2, and your timings is 50 to 55 minutes. Don't forget, you can always ask Digi. So if you're in the staff room and you're like, oh my God, did she say for fine hair I should be using this, or should I be using that? you can go into your Digi and say, hey, I've got a client, she's a natural base 7. I want to lift her up to a 9. She's got quite fine hair. This is the formula I want to do. What should I do? 6 or 9%? Digi can absolutely help you with that one. It's just, it allows you to sort of like double check yourself, especially when you're quite new to a sort of a color range as well. We all need to sort of be able to sort of like have that second guessing.